Call the meeting to order, please. Roll call, please.
Ebenezer,
Here.
Marks, Covington,
Here.
King, Alexander,
Here.
Graves,
Here.
Shelby.
Here. Item number 2, petitions from the audience. Mrs. Fields,
I'll just introduce myself. I'm Camber Fields.
could you come up here, please?
It's a big audience. We have to
I
get you up here in
guess.
front.
I'm Camber Fields. I am from the Softball Association in Pryor, the Youth Association. And more than anything, I just wanted to introduce myself to let you know who I am. I joined the board about a month ago. We're trying to get some new things done and trying to be profitable and productive. I wanted to tell you guys thank you, especially to the city and to Frank. Frank came and put up some handicap signs on the east side of our property. We bought some bulbs and MUB replaced those for us. I think they ended up replacing about 10 bulbs for us. Frank got with the street department and we got some asphalt shavings to fill in the parking lot on both sides. Just some whole areas that were muddy in the parking lot. And then I spoke with Dennis and he offered to come do the spraying at the fields if we would buy the chemicals. So I guess more than anything, I just want to introduce myself and tell you guys thank you for the help that we've received. So I can answer any questions if anybody's got any questions.
What's the name of the organization now?
It's Lake Area Softball Association.
That used to be the Green Country Girls?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And what ages do you all?
It's T-ball to 14, 16 under.
Okay. And what fields are you using? Are you using the 3 fields out there?
The 3 fields, plus I guess we've kind of started using one of the church league fields
Okay.
on certain nights. They only play on Monday and Tuesday in Pryor, and I think we only use that 4th field only one of those nights a week, I think. So,
It's mainly just the 3 fields up front.
yes, sir. Yeah.
About how many kids do you have participating? Do you know offhand?
I would say there's probably, in Pryor, the Pryor teams, there's probably 10 teams, and there's probably 12 people roughly on each team, so around 120 people, kids probably. Those fields are in really poor shape. They haven't been maintained, you know. So we're to a point where we got to figure out how to make money or how to ask for money to get some type of improvements done on the site. I'm not sure how we're going to do that, but I kind of have a game plan or a budget for next year, or not even next year, but this would be long-term goals, you know. Fencing the fences all need to be replaced. The poles are almost rusted out in some spots. The concession stand building is cement blocks on the bottom. The 2nd floor was built with wood. When they replaced those windows, there's 2 big bay windows up there. It wasn't caulked around. All that stuff underneath it's rotted. So that's probably our short-term thing that we're going to try to get fixed first, is to take care of that. And then we got, you know, some other ideas after that, but that's probably our 2 main things that we'd like to. We got to figure out how to get the fields nice enough that people want to come here for tournaments. You know, right now people don't want to come here and go play at our facility. So, but we're a long ways from, you know, the fence, to fix the fence. I think it's almost $70,000 to put on a new fence just on those 3 fields. So, I mean, that ain't gonna solve it. We still gotta make the fields look good once we get to that point, but we gotta, even if we're gonna have to do 1 field at a time or something, we gotta get to that point. So, it's all brand new people. Some people just joined the board 3 weeks ago. That's the problem. We can't get board members that are wanting to do anything. So.
Do you
Yeah, that's
guys
a
run the
problem.
concession?
Mm-hmm. This is the first, well, in the past, they've kind of leased that out and only got a payment, but we started running it this year on our
That'd be
own.
helpful.
Yeah. we're
What do-
doing that, and then we're also charging a gate fee this year, which I think they charged $1 last year, and I think we're charging $3 a piece this year, so. You just get so much backlash if you try to make, try to do stuff to gain money, then everybody else is mad because you're charging, they don't understand that it takes money to keep things, keep things up, so.
How much do you figure it's gonna cost to get everything up to
Um,
expectations are?
well, like the fence is gonna be 68,000. That's for what prices are right now.
Sure.
I told him, I said, I know things are gonna be completely different next year, but, we got the bulbs replaced on the fields. The fix upstairs is gonna be around $4,800 is a quote I got. They're wanting to put epoxy and paint on the floor. Everything out there needs to be repainted. They hadn't even got a price on it. We need to upgrade the tractor. The little tractor we have doesn't even have a front end loader. So the guy that's been working on the fields has to bring dirt over from one side in his pickup, shovel it in his pickup, bring it over, unload it all hand by hand. A good used tractor is probably gonna be around 15,000. We got scoreboards on there. We'd like to put up nice, not something elaborate, but just keep home and visitor score. So right now with just those 4 things on there, I have $100,000 down, which is not gonna be manageable for a long time by ourselves.
Can't generate that through the concessions.
No,
You
you
gotta
can't.
pay umpires and you
Right.
gotta,
Yeah, right now, we're just hoping, we don't know because no one has kept good records, but we're just hoping to be able to, at this point, we just hope we break even, we don't really know what it's gonna look like until we get done because it's fresh and brand new to everybody, so I can't tell you if it's gonna be in the red or the black. We have a little bit of cushion. I think there's probably 7,000 in the account right now. So we have cushion if something happens, we can get to the red, but somehow we gotta figure out how to get in the black every time. I don't know. With it being everybody's first time, everybody's just shooting in the dark and you hope you're doing the right thing.
yeah, I wonder if there might be some benefit to putting you guys in touch with the guys that run the Little League. Boys side has basically ran into the same thing when they started. But it's a gentleman, I think Chad Wolf is still doing it. I think he's doing it this year. And there may be an opportunity to share everybody's in the same boat.
Right.
And just so you know, since this is your first year, Pryor has never had any funding of youth sports. It's all been self-sufficient by the parents. The parents have built the fields, have maintained the fields, have, taken care of, and sometimes you get parents that are active, and other times you get them that say, I don't want to be out here working, I just want to bring my kid out and
Right, you bet.
play ball. But tournaments, and if the field's not good enough for a tournament, but anyway, I'm thinking, get you all together and maybe and this has been in the back of my head for a while, I haven't done anything with it, but getting these youth sports groups together. Everybody with soccer, baseball, softball, the Little League football has got an organization now, I've been checking in on it. Even the church league, and see if somehow we can use that pool of people to strengthen each one of the organizations.
Right.
It's like you running into it, cold. Where do you start?
Right, yeah. I mean, it's stressful,
Yeah.
it's just, when you're not involved in it, you don't know. You don't know all the background stuff that goes into it. But we've been visiting with the baseball league.
Okay,
The baseball league has their ideas. We don't really have any ideas, but we know we can't even hold up our end of the fields now. So I don't want to commit with them to do something when our board is not productive enough to handle our own 3 fields, if that makes sense.
no, it's absolutely,
We co-op with Claremore and Adair right now, so if we join with the baseball association, they're also gonna have to be able to say, yes, we will work with you guys if baseball comes in and you guys combine. or baseball's gonna say, yes, we're gonna work with them. You know, there's just a lot of little puzzle pieces to be put together between now and then. We are visiting about that with them, so. But, you know, I don't want to jump into something and then the softball side not be able to hold up their end of the agreement either. That's where we are right now. I don't feel like we can give you anything, like, we got one guy that does the fields, well, one guy can't keep up with three or four fields, you know, it's impractical. We got good organization with a couple people, women on the board, but there again, most of the time the women aren't doing the work on, you know. So we could bring that side of it to them, but, you know, it's just hard when, I don't know. There's just gonna be a lot of kinks to get worked out, probably.
Well, why don't you leave me your contact information?
Okay,
And I'll see what I can do to, I mean, we desperately need people to step forward, and you guys have done that. Now we need to figure out if we can help you be successful.
right, I appreciate that. Yeah, before I leave, I'll give it to you.
Okay?
You might want to get with your board and just figure out what you're going to need to bring your fields back up to where they're presentable, and make we'll put you on the agenda, and you could make a pitch to us to see if we can get the city to put some money back into
Okay.
it to get it up to speed where you can at least start getting some income off of it. So
Okay.
that would be my thought on put down for the different areas what you're gonna need in the way of money. And we'll see if there's anything we can do to help you that way.
Okay. I did bring that budget. I don't know if you guys want to copy. If you want me to leave that here with you, I can leave that here.
Yeah, give it.
Yeah, you can leave that here, but I would suggest that, maybe next month or the month after you get on the agenda, and to make a proposal to us that we can work with. Okay?
Anybody else?
Thanks.
Thank you guys for the help. I
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Canberra.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
No, that's good.
Make another copy.
It's okay. Good.
Thank you. Item number 3, discuss possibly approve the minutes of the February 28th, 2022 regular meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion been made, is there a second?
Can we do that if we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I second.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 4, park report. Frank Howell, please. What's hell to get old, isn't it, Frank?
Don't really have a whole lot, just that time of the season, we got everything fired up, now it's just full-blown mowing, dealing with the rain and winds and everything. Cemetery roads got paved last week, they showed
Looks
up and got
good.
done in one day, stayed till it was done. It's nice, I don't know if you've been out there
It looks
before.
really good.
If you go out there now, it's nice, smooth. Probably be firing up the splash pad, and unless you all have something different, I'm probably gonna go with May 13th. I think that's a week before school's out, so that's on a Friday, so that's coming up actually pretty quick. So unless you all have a different date, that's what I'm gonna go for. I can't remember if it actually came up a couple of months ago, the pergola at Centennial being in bad shape. Okay, so with some help from Keith, we gotten with the Connie and stuff, and she's agreed to let us tear it down for safety, because it's getting bad. And then we're going to budget for, and then go back with another structure in the fall, probably like one of our steel structures, that leave the pad that she has there, just and put over that. And she was fine with that, and we can put up like a memorial or something, just, you know, in place, I think it was for her husband. And so, but all that's been okayed through her, so. Other than that, I don't have too much right now.
Okay. Questions for Frank? Thank you, Frank. Item number 5, discuss and possibly approve rules for Traders' Day. Frank, we had some problem with Traders' Day.
Well, Ivan has stepped down, and so right now at the moment, I guess I'm over it, kind of. There was some issues late last year, you know, some of the driving we had in the park and kind of was on Traders' Day and blah, 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 and so that's what I want to make sure I actually have some rules set. You know, it's been a Friday and Saturday thing. People's been trying to move in on Thursdays, so we want to, you know, set that up. And then, anyway, that's just some new rules that we want to actually set in place for the Traders' Day.
I noticed last time, or last month, it looked like we were trying to keep everybody over on the pool side.
I did that particular time.
Was that just a one-shot deal? Or not? Would you like to keep it over there all the time?
That was going to be my plan, was to move them out of Whitaker Park. But I guess we'll see what happens. But some of those rules now are in effect if they get in Whitaker, like the part of no cars, like they can pull in long enough to set up and they have to get their car out. Can't leave it there at their tent or table. That's, because those are the ones that were driving to the bathrooms and on the trail. So that's, so I made those rules in case they get moved back to Whitaker. So, I mean, it's pretty simple, just, you know, and we have, like the last go around, my guy, I'm not there on Saturdays, but Monday morning, my guy said there's, you know, one or two that's not picking their stuff all up. So so that was another issue. We're having them not cleaning up their site when they leave.
Are they allowed to set up on the walking trail, or do
No.
they have to be off of that?
No, off.
Should that
if
be
it's-
on here?
Well, they've never set up on the trail.
None of them have?
No, I mean, it's just inside the trail. And and when they did set up in Whitaker, you can go down Park Street, but they haven't been that big in a long time. They went down that way. And they used to set up kind of where, like going towards the splash pad, towards the bathrooms. But when we built the splash pad, and they've been pretty good at just going just to where that wooden shelter is. We've had one or two and usually they're just new ones that maybe have tried to use a shelter, and we've, you know, never really allowed that. You know, that's still for the public. And most time they're pretty like, oh, I didn't know, and so the next day they move out. But once we get this set and actually maybe do a little handout pamphlet and have somebody actually go around and hand them out, you know, to the.
No, it doesn't look like anything that's,
If we did on
Out
that
of the question.
street, well, if we did on that street like they were last time, could we not, Mayor, shut that gate up top and just have them use that whole block? They could use it as just call it a block sale right there. They could set up, there'd be ton enough room for them. That way they're not in the park, but they're next to the park, so they got access to bathrooms, shelters, and that way they could park their cars away from, you know, it's close enough to if they need to go back to their vehicles, they could get there. And that whole block would be designated just for Traders' Day.
So because of the access, so when you think about Hawaii Street,
Mhm.
think about riding south on Hawaii Street to the park, the barricade would have to be at that intersecting street. Is that Second Street? Barricade would have to be at that intersecting street, so that you get down to there and have no way to turn around.
They could turn right there at the apartments, correct? Or back there at,
Sertoma.
Sertoma,
Okay, you're talking about on Grove Street then?
yeah, right where
Oh, you're not talking about Hawaii Street.
No, it's-
You're talking about-
Stay close to the first gate, or
On
close
Road
ones
Street.
up, Sertoma, or
Yep, by Sertoma.
I got you, yeah.
just shut it down there, and then they could have that entire street.
We could, yes.
And up there's that big parking area up top if they wanted to use it for Trader's Day. And actually, they'd have a lot more access. They never have to worry about somebody, crossing traffic, going back and forth. So you never would have any issues for safety.
I got no issue. Just a matter of how we want-
It'd be, I mean, it would be,
I'd like to hear what park board, individuals, think about what Frank is proposing.
Personally, I like the idea of putting them over there on the side by Sertoma, because I think with Trader's Day, and I know this because I've got grandchildren that we've taken to the park, or planning to take to the park and forget that it's Trader's Day. And it just kind of deters some people away from the park and the splash pad, and I think it might work better if we had it over to the side.
That's why I say it's north of the pool, all over that area.
You're thinking about safety for children.
Not specifically safety for the children, but access, I guess. Because when you've got all the traders there and their cars and you think, I'm taking the kids to the park, and then you get there and it's all these people, and it's yeah. So that way our families could still enjoy it, and then if you wanted to go across over there to the Trader's Day, it's still there too.
I came up here because I need to practice what I preach. If I'm going to speak, I need to speak into the mic. So y'all jump in about Trader's Day, because it's kind of, it would be a culture change, and require some training, require us getting the word out appropriately through the newspaper, through the PIP, through social media, and just try to get the word out about that appropriately.
Just real quick, just throw it out there, we did have no issues with last month. We taped off kind of the part and we got the word out to be north of the pool, and there were no issues or no one threw a fit or, anything like that.
Does it cause a visibility problem? Do people not realize that it's there? Can they see it if they're up on?
Oh,
The street, you
I don't
think?
think that will. One of the factors that kind of came up, safety kind of, was when it is in Whitaker Park, people park down Kauai Street, they park in the street, but then when you have them on both sides, you got people crossing the road.
Yeah.
So back to that thing where if it's all on one side,
And you got people crossing.
except for people parking over there and walking just to it, you won't be having no necessary.
Has the number of people declined a little bit, that the traders? Is that getting a little smaller than it used to
To me, it's
be?
gotten smaller, because
That's-
they used to go up Park Street or Kauai, and they used to go all the way almost down to the
Yeah.
pond.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not, I don't normally go by on Saturday mornings.
I think
and check it out.
what I've noticed the last couple of years is just not as many people
Yeah.
selling things as there have been in the
A
past.
lot of them are pure regulars, it's there every time.
I will say this last one, it seemed like
To
there
where?
was a lot of people there, though.
Where you could,
I didn't see Saturday.
It was a
you
lot
could
of
probably get them all on that west side of the street over by the pool. You'd probably get everybody in that area, couldn't you? All your traders?
There would even be space to grow,
Yeah,
to
the
grow.
only time it would be a problem, say like all the rain we just got, now, I wouldn't want them pulling down below the pool. That's
Yeah,
just solid,
yeah.
that I'd have to, but on normal summer, dry, hot days, they could even use down there, that ground's
Yeah.
solid except for me.
Yeah,
Say
that,
solid, it don't take much.
the bottom of that bowl gets a little wet, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. Well, you could make exceptions on those days,
Yeah.
though.
So-
Last couple of years, we've had COVID to deal with, and so that could be one of the reasons why perhaps
That could be too, yeah, yeah.
participation wasn't maybe as strong.
If I could go ahead and add to the rules then, where everything's north of the pool, or we can just.
I personally think so. I think if you do that, you could, again, you could, you know, signage, we could put signs up. We could put one of those
Yeah, we
trader
have-
signs up front and then one right in the middle of the road.
After a
Really easy.
while, after a few, I think, then they'll learn, you know, but like I said, once you get these approved, and we'll do them on a little actual official deal and kind of hand them out to people, that way they'll know. And then like you said, you got
Yep.
ones that,
I noticed the last time you had some people setting up in the middle, early in the afternoon on Fridays, didn't you?
well, Thursdays, yeah, we've had them try to come on Thursday.
On Thursday?
And a lot of them come after we leave.
So they're making a 3-day deal out of it.
Yeah, and that's my fear, so that's why that one's gonna be the hard one to
Yeah.
get changed at first, because you got several that try to come in Thursday night and get that good spot.
And they want to camp out there. I've
And-
had people call and ask if they can
And
camp.
see, that comes back with, it's actually in the code book, there's no overnight stay in the
Yeah.
park.
Right.
So we can make it,
We could put that.
actually put the code,
Yeah.
I just didn't know if that would get confusing on Friday nights though, because a lot of times, once they set up, then a lot of times that's when they stay.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of in a pre-approved event, what makes it a little bit different, but to me, I don't appreciate them coming in the night before, or setting up, you know, no one's better than no one else. and, you know.
On that Trader's Day, do we have enough trash containers over there for them to take
Well,
care of everything,
on
or
Trader's Weekend, we
bring an
buy-
extra one over
yeah,
for 'em?
Yeah, we keep a bunch of
Okay.
extras just for-
Mayor, what's your opinion?
My opinion is that we defer to a safe environment, and whatever that means is, I mean, that's the most important thing to me, is that it's a safe environment. And I would prefer for it to be isolated on the west side, and for that, and closing that gate's a good, that's there by the Sertoma Club, that's a good move, in my opinion. So you asked my opinion, I think to put it there, I think is probably a good thing.
What about if you're going down that path of people that face Kauai, do we want to discourage the vendors from, where they get people not parking on Kauai?
At least they're not crossing the road though, then,
Okay,
unless it's to go.
but it's not an issue having them park on.
Well, to me, that would be more of a police matter, I mean, kind of, that's kind of out of my thing, I would think about people parking in the road.
I mean, they could park at Sertoma Club even at that.
The only other rule
Yes,
being if we
if
choose
they
to
didn't have an
do
event.
pads it towards north of the pool, then I might want to reword the one of no cars.
Not-
Do we,
Officially?
Yeah.
do we still want to allow them? My main point of that is getting out of Whitaker Park and driving in, like on the trailer bathrooms. If we move them north of the pool, do we still let them just leave their vehicles there, or do we still make them set up and park?
You know, if nothing else, you could put, I mean, how many vehicles, let's say there's 20 vehicles, like Pam just said, either up at the Sertoma Club they could park, or up there at that very top, there's enough parking right there, they could park their vehicles.
The
I would not-
downside to having them park in the parking lot is, like I said, you still got the park splash pad people that's gonna be kind of used to park and park.
Right, but if they're parking up that, the very,
Oh, that's, yeah,
that very top part behind the pool there, that
yeah,
area up there,
yeah.
I would not suggest the Sertoma building because they have that building rented out almost every weekend for events.
Do they?
And that would cause issues if we were telling Trader Joe's, the Trader Day people to park up there, and then somebody has it rented for a big
True.
shower or whatever, and then their people can't park to unload and,
In that case, that gate would not need to be closed, because that parking,
they couldn't get up there.
yeah, they couldn't access some of that parking.
True.
What I'm talking about is the vendors, to not the people going to Trader's Day.
You're just talking about the vendors, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, do they set up and then get their vehicle away, you know, from the tent and stuff and park? That's what I'm getting away from, it's in Whitaker Park, you know, I wanted the cars out. Because that's where you had the ones that would get in their car and drive to the bathroom.
Yeah.
and instead of just walking the 50 feet.
I mean, you
Look out the
If it's
pool.
on the north side.
you could designate it, I think we could designate it area, and I still say it's up there, just close that gate and just say from here to here's your parking area.
Like set up and then move your vehicle
Yep.
to.
And couldn't they park at the pool? I mean, isn't
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
whole
They
parking
could.
lot
Yeah,
they could
because
park
most
there?
of the Traders Day morning, the pool, well, right now, for sure, the pool's not open.
Right, eventually it'll
Yeah.
change, but for right now,
Yeah.
it's extra parking.
So I'll just go ahead and leave that rule in it, and then whoever makes the motion, just say we add the rule of. all
We need to
setup
make a
is
motion to
north
add
of the
that?
pool.
What,
We need a motion to approve these.
yeah, what Frank is asking for is a rule that says set up north of the pool.
Who's gonna be in charge of running?
Policing that?
Who's gonna be in charge of running this now? Traders Day, have we got somebody designated to?
No, we don't. Not yet. Not yet. I have a plan. I have a plan.
It's
Okay.
kind of unexpected,
Oh, yeah,
yeah, Ivan just. Well,
he's done it for-
25 years he's done.
I was gonna say
Brought me the signs and.
he's done it for a long, long time.
He also did that one day, that Western Days,
Yep.
that brought people in, and that pretty much filled the park.
Well, and that's, that's a big thank you to him, because he's the reason we got the big electrical upgrade. That's when we had issue after issue of electricals with the Western Days. Because of Ivan, that's when we got the big grant to do the big pedestals and all that upgrade. That's because of Ivan and I guess the Western Days.
Well, it seems like we need to find somebody that will get you out of the business of having to, I mean, Ivan was able, I think, to, he did a lot of it himself, obviously. But did he have any participation from downtown merchants or the Main Street group?
Much
Or,
handled himself.
He pretty much handled it himself. He did have support from Chamber of Commerce.
yeah,
And so I have a plan about recruiting in that regard. And so,
I think that would be it needs some type of organizational support behind it.
I don't want to be over it, but like being we're making the rules, if we see something Friday, I just want to make sure I've got the okay to, go tell them they need to leave or can't do what they're doing or blah, blah, blah,
I can't imagine who would be a higher authority than you when, don't know who else you'd go to. And
Well, I make a motion that we approve the instructions, the guidelines, the rules for the Traders Day with the verbiage of location. Does that sound right?
all set up north of the pool or.
Yep.
I'll second.
so that changes your agenda item, number 5, discussion and possible approved rules for Traders Day, location north pool, north of the pool. Is that correct?
It changes them to what?
No, it just changes the verbiage on your item number 5.
Yeah, to approve the rules, it changes that to,
Location.
Set up location north of the pool. And you have a
Okay.
motion and a second.
We're
I just want to point out, it changes the verbiage of that. It amends that agenda item number 5.
okay. Any other discussion on it? Motion for that, motion's been made, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Item number 6, the golf course report. Dennis Bowman.
Good evening, everyone. Of course, this is our busy time of the year, so we got things hopping at the golf course, between the maintenance and, a lot of golfers. We've been really busy on both ends, so. Through the end of March, Last year's, we did 278,000, and this fiscal year, we're at 375. So we're $97,000 ahead of last fiscal year, and last fiscal year was a really good year. We're rocking it, so we've been busy. We've, in the last month and a half, 2 months, we've had 3 events out there that we've raised $24,000 for charitable events. One of them was a ball team, so we might want to talk about a golf tournament to raise you some money. So, one little ball team raised $6,100. So that's pretty impressive, for a little ball team. Hilldale from Muskogee come up and they raised $3,500. And then the Brown and Brown Special Olympics, we just had that, and just got an email from her today. I think after their expenses, they're going to make $14,000 for the Special Olympics. So
Good deal.
Brown and Brown, that was the first time we've held that event since 2019 due to COVID, and had a full field of 100 golfers, so it just went great. And several tournaments that we've had have been already just filling up. It's really been a good deal. So if you want to play in a golf tournament, you got to get signed up early. So we've had our girls' high school tournament, and I passed some of that stuff out just so you could see where these children are coming from. The Pryor Lady Tigers Invitational. But I mean, there's 2 pages there. They had 100 golfers, so 100 high school golfers, and they come from everywhere to play. So I think that's just important for you guys to be aware of that kind of stuff. We also had the junior high tournament, and it's not as big, but it's still pretty big. 75 kids in the junior high tournament, and tomorrow, yeah, today's Monday. Tomorrow, we're hosting the girls' regional, so there'll probably be about another 75 girls coming from all kinds of different places. Matter of fact, they've already showed up, and some of them's been out to the golf course this afternoon, and so they come in from everywhere for the girls' regional. The next one we're going to have is a boys' tournament Thursday, and then boys' regional on Monday. So it's like bang, 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 but we're about to get done with all the high school tournaments, but it's good to have all those kids come in and play from everywhere. And we've spent a little bit of our advertising money, and we put a new sign out front. Looks a lot better, so we got a new sign out front. We've moved our covered porch, got the roof completely done, so now our little covered awning out there, it's completely sealed in, so when it rains, they don't get wet or nothing, all on the floor or anything. Real good job, so got that little project finished.
Any issues with the traffic because your fence is gone?
No, we took that fence down. It looks a lot better. That was
Looks open.
Sherry's idea. Savannah, she told me that fence looked bad, so I said, fix that. So it's always good to have a perspective from somebody else.
That looks really different.
So we're still waiting on our roller that we've ordered. They said it's supposed to ship this week from Connecticut, so can't wait to get that. We're working on our pump station. We made some progress on it, and we think any of the issues we had is just actually a connection in the wires. We're actually where they connect the wires and they're underwater, and they got the connections, I guess, either wasn't done good enough or they leaked, and so we've tested our motors, and our motors seem to be good, so we're just waiting to, we fight that river going up and down. So as soon as it goes down, we try to get out there and work on it, and we'll have electricians come in and do a better connectors on the wires. So hopefully then we can have that thing up and running, because it's about that time of the year. Casco won the bid to demolish the house. I don't know if y'all seen that or not, but so I've been in touch with them today, and they'll start getting their people lined up to. They're going to they have to redo all the electric, Because some electric comes into the back of the house, it goes to the pro shop, it's been that way forever, and it's just because of how things just kept getting added on to, I guess. But it's gonna be a good deal, because we're gonna straighten up all the electric. We're gonna use the existing air conditioner that fed the house. We're gonna use it back into the pro shop, because we've added onto it, and we've added the restrooms on, so we're gonna actually be able to put air into the restrooms, heat and air into the restrooms, so that'll keep them a lot nicer, and it's just gonna be a good deal all the way around. The Corps of Engineers come out and did their annual inspection, and for the most part, everything was really good. We did have a beaver get in our lagoon, and he made a dam and kind of destroyed part of the integrity of the bank there around the deal. So got a hold of the beaver guy, and he come trapped him out, and now we're in the process. We got rid of the beaver home. That was, man, it's crazy what them beavers can do.
His name is Luke.
Yeah, Luke Farr. Yeah, Luke Farr. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah, them beavers are, man, they're destructive. So, we're in the process of getting that fixed. Hopefully I have that fixed by the end of the week. We just quit raining long enough to do any dirt work. That's all I have. Anybody have any questions for me?
I do. Did you ever get a quote on that net for the driving range?
I am in the process of doing that. We've been calculating how big, and we actually have emailed a couple companies for that right now. And I haven't seen any emails back, so we may have to follow up or call. But we emailed like 3 companies for that. So we are in the process of doing that. She's talking about putting a net over the lagoon, so you know we can actually use drivers out there, and people don't hit their balls into the lagoon when they practice. And I think that'd be a good addition, so.
That also be a barrier on home number 8.
No, we just put it on the north side of the lagoon. We wouldn't put it on the south side.
Put it over the
No, yeah. Mhm.
You might mention that, with that pavilion that we moved up and, kind of, you know, what Scott did with it.
Yeah, Scott McGill, he did all that out of his own pockets, or so much of it out of his own pocket. So, I mean, that's the kind of people we have out there helping us. I mean, you know, he did a lot of work and really benefited the golf course out there for it. So, I mean, he's, you know, he calls that his home, so we appreciate him. And he, if you ever need somebody to build you a metal building, he's the guy. I'm telling you, 'cause he does quality work, and he doesn't sacrifice any quality.
Well, you're doing some great things out there, Dennis, and it looks really good.
Thank you. We're working, doing what we can. Any other questions?
Don't run away.
Nope.
Anything else for Dennis on that? Okay. Item number 7, discuss possibly recommend council action regarding refund of $1,307.32 to Darrell Watkins for golf membership he was not able to use. You may want to explain what's going on there.
I don't know, y'all need to make a motion, then do discussion, I don't know, or just go ahead and explain. So, what I'm wanting to do there, we run these specials back in Christmas, and Darrell Watkins bought his membership and paid for his cart stall over there. And he prepaid in December, and of course it wasn't even due till May. And he, something come up with his house. He had to sell his house and he had to move. And Darrell, I don't know if y'all know Darrell Watkins, he has done a tremendous amount of work at our golf course. He'd go out and help us cut down trees when we'd have a storm. He's done some carpentry work around there for us, so he's been a big help to us. And you know, I know we typically don't refund memberships, but I feel like, you know, the right thing to do is, because he's never used it, and he was just prepaying to help us again. He's just that kind of guy. He wanted to prepay to help us, and since he never even used it, had to move away, I just feel it's the right thing to do.
If it'd been later in the year and he would've used part of it, then we would've had a whole different ballgame, but he was still using
Where'd he move to?
his last year's membership. The new one hadn't come into effect yet when he had to leave.
He moved to I think the west side of Claremore, or somewhere over there.
I'll make a motion to refund.
I
Make a
second.
Motion's made and seconded, discussion. Hearing none, give me a roll call.
Kenny Geisler,
Yes.
Buffington,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Graves,
Yes.
Shelby.
Yes.
Okay, item, on number 7 carried. Item number 8, discuss possibly recommend council action regarding allocation of the proceeds from the 2021 Boo Ha Ha Halloween Festival at the Pryor Creek Golf Course.
So, like I said, we did good on our Halloween festival. Like I said, we raised just a little over $10,000. So from the start of this, we had some people in mind that we wanted to share this with and help out some charities. That was the whole process of trying to make money off this event, is to help some charities. So in your packet there, I have $1,000 going to the Lions Club, just because, man, they worked hard on that event. They helped us, and I think it's only right to, I don't know how much money they spent, but they did a great job. We couldn't have had that without them. And then $2,500 going to the Boys and Girls Club, because that was one of my original deals. I wanted to see some of this money go to some kids. And then $2,500 going to Impact Pryor, and they were instrumental in making this thing a success also. So that was, and then the $4,000 going to the golf course, because we had some expenses out there that you just couldn't track, as far as some of our man hours that we had to do with the golf course, and then some of the repairs afterwards and getting the roads and stuff ready. So, the golf course needed to make a little bit too, and, fuel that was used and stuff like that. So that's what we come up with our board, and that's what we're asking to do. And I'd like to be able to, I got one of the big checks, so I'd like to be able to, after, if y'all decide to approve this, and then council approves it, I'd like to be able to have some presentations to these people, and then this year here, our plans are to make it a lot bigger. I think we can make it a better, funner event, and it was really a good one for the first time, so we had a lot of great reviews on it. So if we can improve what we know now, it's going to even be a lot better this year if we just get any kind of weather at all. And so we're hoping to raise a lot more money. Any questions?
I'll make the motion then to,
Motion to approve,
Second.
seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain because I'm on the Boys and Girls Club board.
Huh?
So I'm
Oh.
going to abstain because I'm on the Boys and
Okay.
Girls Club board.
Give me a roll
It's
call.
wonderful, I love it. but
Good.
Buffington,
Yes.
Alexander,
Abstain.
Graves,
Yes.
Shelby,
yes.
Kenny Geisler.
Yes.
Sherry, I guess you'll know who I need to contact then. Good.
I can help you with that.
All right. Appreciate y'all. I'm going to go
Thank
to a baseball game.
Okay, thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Item number 9, discuss possibly recommend council action regarding the use of Whitaker Park by the Mays County Amateur Radio Club on Saturday, June 25th, 2022 through early Sunday, June 26th, 2022 for their annual field day event. This is something they do every year. And
Yeah, they put a deal out at the soccer fields
Yeah.
too. They put a hide a box.
I'd entertain a motion to approve this.
Second.
Who made the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Oh, I thought you made the motion.
Oh, I didn't make it. Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 10. Discuss possibly recommend council action regarding proceeding with a plan for renovation of our Whitaker Park pool at an estimated cost of $800,000. Components of the plan are design, funding, bidding, and construction. The estimated timeline from beginning to completion is 12 months.
Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to present in this regard, and I'm going to take a little bit of time. We have two board members who have not been involved in the process. So I'm going to kind of give a historical perspective for y'all, and when you have a question, please voice the question. I'd be happy to try to answer it for you. This process actually started back in December of 2016 when we got an inspection report. It was done by Paddock Enterprises, who is the swimming pool vendor and design guy and inspection entity that we've used. So we did that in 2016. They noted some issues in 2019. I requested another report because our swimming pool was showing quite a bit of wear. It was showing issues with concrete, issues all over the pool with some settling of the concrete and that sort of thing. And so I asked Mr. Paddock to do another inspection in 2019, which he did, and it revealed some more issues. When 2021 came around, we were kind of hot to trot to try to get the pool opened, but there were some significant places in the concrete in the bottom of the pool and also in the side of the pool. And so I was asking myself questions: how safe is this? So I asked you all to put a stop to the opening of the pool, which we did, and I ordered a study, an evaluation of the pool and of the structural integrity of the pool. And I'll read some of that to you. I won't read all of it to you. Excuse me. It's a geographical survey system with ground penetrating radar is what it is. And so we did a study with a company called Terracon. The GPR, ground penetrating radar, indicated concrete thickness of 10 to 12 inches with reinforcement at 8 inches on center around the perimeter and 5 to 6 inches of concrete thickness, which with reinforcement at 6 inches on center from the remainder of the slab. The GPR indicated data signatures consistent with a few voids along several of the joints and in some of the larger areas, primarily on the south and southwest portion of the pool. The GPR cannot quantitatively measure the vertical airspace in the void, but based on prior experience, we estimate the voids likely range from a ½ inch to maybe 3 inches of vertical expression. So vertical expression of void, somewhere around ½ inch to somewhere maybe around 3 inches. All right. No significant subsurface soil or fill anomalies were noted in the GPR data and a depth of 20 inches below, at a depth of 20 inches below surface. So please see the attached exhibits for the locations of the potential voids. The recommendation from that study was, yes, there are some voids there. What we did with the study is we tried to verify and tried to understand what those voids looked like. Mr. Paddock then did some more study and some more work on looking at the pool, and determined that yes, and also from architectural engineer, that yes, the structure can be repaired, and it can be restored to a useful life. So we determined that. Then more of the history. The pool subcommittee met several times for several months, created this study. I'm going to find a lozenge here so I can be in better speaking position for you. So this is Chris Graves, Melinda Marks, and Lori Seaver, who was on the pool subcommittee at that time. And they studied, we had meetings. There was a recommended plan from the end of that study. The recommended plan says, based upon our findings, recommendation of the pool subcommittee is to provide the citizens of Pryor an outdoor public pool, whether it be renovation of the present pool or demolition of the present pool and building a new pool. Or invite the rec center board to consider construction of a public pool at the rec center. So that was that was also a recommendation and went to the rec board. And if you remember, we had some conversation here at Park Board in that regard. We also had some conversation at City Council meeting in that regard, and it was determined that that probably was not the best course of action, to move a public pool, the public pool to the rec center, for a number of reasons. One being to keep the public pool separate from the rec center income stream, which is a different income stream than our public pool. Also, the citizens we felt like would be better served if the public pool was at Whitaker Park, where it is now. So we went through study. Your mayor got weary of talk. And would you say that's correct?
I'd say that was correct.
Your mayor got weary of talk, and so trying to stimulate action. So we continued to meet. We asked Mr. Paddock to do some conceptual design work to come up with some numbers, updated numbers of conceptual design. Conceptual design, not hard design, but conceptual design. A new pool or to renovate the old pool. The original ask of the architectural design guy, Mr. Paddock, was what will it take to completely renovate the present park pool, to preserve that history. What will it take? And that number was way more than it was to build a new pool. And so it seemed that even building a new pool and demolishing the old pool was probably the best course. One of your board members, whom I won't mention his name, but I will, his name's Chris Graves. He called me when we were, after Park Board had met and made that recommendation, sent to council, it was on council agenda. Chris called me and he said, I just don't feel like this is the best path. And he said, and he explained to me why. And I agree with him. And he said, I'd like to come to council meeting, and I'd like to petitions from the audience. I would like to express an opinion about the park pool and about the viability or the potential viability of taking the old structure and making the old structure useful as it possibly can be, and see what that looks like. So He came, in fact, he called council members, told them what he was going to do. They were prepared. He came and presented to council. And so there was a motion then, when that item came to council for approval, there was a motion to table. And that was because of Chris's recommendation. And I did. I supported that motion to table because I too wanted to see what it looked like. So what you have in your packet today is you have the overview. And this overview is information that Chris compiled with some of his expertise about compiling information, which is far beyond mine, but that's what he does, and it's what he's been doing through his working life. And so this overview, the highlights of the overview, or I can, he talked with Don Paddock, he talked with Steve Powell, our city engineer, talked to Frank Powell, talked to me, and he talked to Jeff Coker, our city auditor, or our city accountant. And there's data. He used these assumptions. As you can see, and I won't bother to read all those for you because you've had this packet now for a few days. What I kind of focused on was the estimated costs, the completion dates, and also the annual costs of the cost comparison of making useful the old historic pool or creating a new pool. And then the different features, there's some comparisons there, and the different functions of the two items. So all of that data is really complete, and compliments to Chris. He did a really good job with that, and that's real complete and real concise as it can be. The motion that I have on the agenda tonight that I do support and would like to for y'all to consider is recommending to council that we go ahead and take the old historic pool, and according to the architectural design engineer, Mr. Paddock, go ahead and set him loose, turn him loose to do the design work on not only making our old pool functional, but part of it would also be redesigned. The bathrooms would be redesigned. The area out front would be redesigned. The main part of the pool would be appropriately repaired so that it's not only functional now, but it would be functional for many, many years to come. And if we do that, what we are able to do is we're able to take a historic structure that it's viable, even though it's been there for 60 years. That historic structure is still usable, and that's through the evaluation of the radar, evaluation also of design engineer. And so the amount of dollars that would cost us perhaps would be upwards to $800,000 to do that. That's conceptual. That's not with design information, not with hard design information. A new pool would be somewhere between 2.8 and 4.5 million. Those are conceptual numbers. Those are not hard design numbers. What I would not want to lead our citizens to do, is to make a decision about spending a large amount of money without having that design data, because you really don't know until you do the hard design data. So what I would like to try to lead out in this with the information that Chris has spent a lot of time compiling. I called Chris, say, you got that finished yet? Well, not quite. Chris, you got that finished yet? When are you gonna have that done? Well, we're working on it. Okay, I'm gonna be patient. So we've been patient with that. So the motion before you, then, there are two motions. The first one, with a planned renovation for a Whitaco Park pool at an estimated cost of $800,000. So that rounds up that $784,000 to $800,000. It could be lower than that. As I've talked to Mr. Paddock today, I talked to him on Wednesday, I talked to him again today, and he said, yes, it could be in that range. But if it is on the higher range, then that's the reason I put that in the motion. Also in the motion, components of the plan are design, funding, bidding, and construction. So once those hard design numbers are available, then proceeding with funding, and that'll be a quick plan that's put together for funding. Would take some city funds, would also take some funds perhaps that others would like to contribute, and I won't be shy about asking for those. Anyway, do you have any questions for me or for Chris?
When I look at what the motion was, or the item is it says to renovate the pool, but yet over here, the renovating costs are like $4 million.
Okay, so that renovation
Now,
would be
the 800,000, that's just an estimate.
Yes, sir, that's
So
correct.
we're probably looking at something over $1 million just
Well,
to get it usable again.
I asked him to estimate high. And Chris and I both talked to him, and he gave us the same data.
And that includes our concrete, repairing the concrete,
Yeah.
cutting it out, repouring it, replacing the deck, or redoing the deck up,
Yeah,
all this, the diving boards,
What about the
everything.
pipes? What about the pipes that we haven't had water come through in how many
3
years?
years, 3
How do
years.
we know those pipes are still viable?
well, the pipes are still viable. Does that mean that we won't do a coating on the inside of those pipes? Perhaps so. And that technology is there. So what I'd like to, now, we can sit back and we can what if all day long. We can what if all day long. What if this, or what if that, or what if this? What I'm asking the park board to do is to consider sending to council a plan that will create design work on this old historic structure that appears to be something that we would be able to use functionally for many years to come.
Well, shouldn't we do item number 11 before we even think about doing item number 10?
If we don't do item number 10, there's no use to do item number 11.
There's what?
If we don't do item number 10, there's no use to do item number 11.
Well, number 10 says we've already got the design work done, but then the next one says we got all the design work to do yet.
No, the components of the plan. So item 10 outlines components of the plan, which is first design, and then funding, and then bidding, and then construction. Okay? So
Yeah, that's, item number 11 says we need to do the design work for the renovation of the pool. That's the first thing we need to do,
it
right?
is, yes. So
And then the
what
second thing would be then to proceed with that design.
But I want council, I would like to hear park boards say, this is the plan that we want to work. This is the plan that we want to proceed with. and then turn the design engineer, turn him loose then to do the design. We don't have any reason to pay a guy $84,000 to do design work if we are not behind doing the renovation of this old pool.
I think another way to think about it is we're at a fork in the road, and one fork says, let's go down and repair the old pool, and the other fork says, let's go down the path of building a new pool. And
Well-
we're just taking the one to go down the path now and spend our time and energy fleshing out. All we're really committing is $80,000 at this point. And if we discover things in the analysis, in the design work of the repair that blows the estimate or far exceeds the plan, then at that point,
Well, he gave you an estimated cost of 800,000 to do it, right?
A range of 500 and some odd to 700 and some odd.
Okay.
And that includes what?
But what's all involved in that? In that 800,000?
his, and scope will be something that will be part of the discussion in the design as to what all gets included, but, and this is an email to Larry and I from Don Paddock in February. His disclaimer, the numbers below are rough with past projects and knowledge of cost. The following preliminary cost is provided for a minimal approach. Sandblasting, repairing concrete areas, walls to uniform finish, epoxy coating, removal and replacement of all expansion joints on the interior of the pool, men and women's bathrooms, remove floors, install new piping, new floor, new plumbing fixtures, lavatories, partitions, make it ADA compliant, new safety equipment, deck equipment repair, wading repool, removal, or zero entry if possible. And to Larry's point, his actual, and I hesitate to say this because Mr. Paddock, I mean, this is his area of expertise, and he's doing the best he can do to try to figure out can we repair this without, but you gotta understand too, he's making some estimates here based upon, I've been and walked through this and looked at things, but I'm gonna put some disclaimers out there too. But he originally came in and said 450,000, and he said, let's go the upper end of 700,000. I put the design in there and add design cost and rounded it to 8.
But if we change the design of the pool,
We're not changing design. per
if
se.
you go to a zero entry, you are,
No, that's not included in the scope.
huh?
That's not included in the scope.
So
Zero.
that's not included in this 800?
No, and that's in the report. It says features and functionality. And that's one of the things that I highlighted was, what are we getting with a new pool versus, on a new pool, if you look on page 4, it says zero entry. In the old pool, no. In the new pool, you'll get, yes, you would get that. You'd get an elevated play structure in zero entry in the new pool that you wouldn't get in the old pool. There's a commercial dual flume slide that he talked about that we would have to pay extra for, but that could be added too. That's not in the old pool.
Well-
But that was my purpose in trying to differentiate what's the difference in the new pool and the old pool. There's not replacing the decks. They're not gonna take out the decks. But if you go look at it, there'll be some refinishing of those. But
And
it's-
they're gonna replace the concrete in that far end
If we change the design at all,
in the
we
report.
can't be grandfathered anymore.
Well,
But we're not grandfathered anyway. We're not grandfathered right now anyway. So,
let me read this statement, I think, that may be helpful from Patty. I discussed the project with Mike Duffy at the State Health Department. Pool has been shut down for 3 years. Even on a minimal approach, plans for the project need to be approved by the State Health Department.
so what he would do his design, he would do his hard design. That hard design goes to State Health Department for approval before a project can go out and be bid. So it goes, and so during this design phase, what we will do is we will guide. He will ask, Mr. Paddock will ask questions. When he gets to be a certain percentage through that, he'll engage for input, just like it would be if you were building a house. So there's a process there that I'm comfortable with, and I've worked with Mr. Paddock now for about 2.5 years, almost 3 years, in various ways. He's did some good work on our repair work on our rec center pool. And so he sticks by his word. I trust him. He's one of just a few that does this kind of work, and he's been at it for a long, long time. A question that Frank had was, so is this going to be one of those deals where he does this part and the park department does this part? No, it's not going to be one of those deals. He's going to bid out a complete project, on that structure.
The only thing that bothers me, that I worry about, is the fact that we've got a 55-year-old pool. Concrete, the life of concrete is about 50 years, and then it starts deteriorating.
It's older than that.
And
70.
we're gonna put $800,000 in this old pool, and we're still gonna have an old pool with some new things in it, or repaired things, but still gonna be an old pool. And then 2 years down the road, we're gonna have a situation where we've got another $200,000 we've gotta put in the pool. And eventually, you know,
It was built in 56.
we're gonna end up
Ooh, it's 60.
not having any pool, instead of, if we bite the bullet and go for a new pool, unless we got something that's gonna last 30, 40 years.
So there's not any guarantees that it's going to last 30 or 40 years.
Well-
Is there risk involved? Yeah, there's risk involved. So let's talk about Pensacola Dam. That's a concrete structure.
Yeah, I
That's a concrete structure.
Built by the same guy.
And it's built by the same guy who built our park pool. The reason why I've done a turnaround on it is because I think it's the best use of, according to the information that we have been able to gather, I think it's the best use of our citizens' money. And would a new pool be nice? Yeah, it would be nice. There's also the conversation about demolishing the old pool and then taking a new pool structure and putting it in a space where the health department had some question about whether that was even a good place to build a pool. So that's also something that I think about.
Well,
So there are a lot of things that architectural design can do, and there's a lot of things that they possibly could do with a new pool. Could we afford a new pool? It would, perhaps we can afford a new pool if citizens got behind it and agreed to set aside some sales tax to pay for it. If we do this restoration, which I think that it's possible to do the restoration, then I think that we can also get backing and help from other organizations, because people come from all over the county to use this pool. They do, and I'm not bashful about asking Cherokee Nation. I'm not bashful about asking the city of Locust Grove or whatever it might be. I'm not bashful about asking. So it's something that we use. Traditionally, we've only used, 3 months out of the year? Maybe not even a complete 3 months out of the year.
About 10 weeks.
Is it possible we can develop something where we get more use out, more longevity and more use throughout the season? I think that's possible. I think that's possible. Also, the time frame. He says that we could probably be done. Excuse me. that we could probably done in 12 months. So having looked at all of those things, having looked at considering all of the components, I would be in favor of proceeding with the design work and proceeding with making the old pool a useful structure and perhaps for the next,
Will this include
hopefully 20, 30
any
years.
new, pumps or anything like that to go in there?
Anything back to the pump room, I can name 3 or 4.
Or is that, we still using the existing
all that's going to be, all that's.
piping and everything?
So what he's going to do, he's going to evaluate what needs to be replaced and design in what needs to be replaced for it to be
If-
functional.
We talked earlier. I'm not even, I called the mayor and I was, because all weekend it's been on my head and I'm my question's still the same. At what point does it get to be, we've put so much money into rebuilding a 70-year-old, will be 70-year-old building, pool, to where this is ludicrous, we've not had it in 3 years, we'd be money ahead to put a new pool in. I mean, I get saving it and stuff like that, and I think we all would be under the impression if it was 40 years, it'd probably be a lot easier to swallow, but it's not getting any younger, and we're putting money into Terry's defense. He said the last time, if you're poor, you gotta fix what you have. I get that. I completely understand that, but we've always been in the mentality, we did that with the golf course for how many years? What'd we do differently? We changed, we put new equipment, got new golf carts, we did ads, we did things to get our membership up, and what happened? It turned it around. They're making, for the last 2 years, they've had record number
Yeah, it's amazing.
profits.
It's amazing.
Do we do the same to the swimming pool and improve our product, improve the perception that we do care? Or do we continue to go throw money at a swimming pool that's, hey, we repaired it? Because that's the perception people are gonna have. Oh, yeah, but we did this and this. Perception is, you'll spend all the money here, but you won't spend any money there, and are we just putting money into the bottomless pit?
Well,
So-
let me ask a question though, because I think this is where there's a perception of. What's your perception of the amount of money that we've been pouring into that pool in the last 5 or 6 years? What do you think we put into the pool the last
The
5
last
or
3 years, we didn't put anything in it. We put a lot of money into it, though, when the pumps weren't bad. Was that 4 years ago? We had to replace the pumps.
What do you
So
think
the
on
water-
average though? Well, let me tell you what the number is, and these numbers came from the city.
Okay.
About $6,000 a year. It's what we've spent
Repair.
since 2000.
That's all they gave me. We would have done a lot more repairs if I had more money. Yeah.
But
That's
the-
a conversation.
Yeah, that's what's been spent. Now, should we, from a maintenance standpoint, could we avoided some future costs with maintenance? But in a previous administration, there was talk about not even opening the pool. People, I mean, the money was so tight at one time within the city that they were looking at shutting down the pool. There was that was going before the council to shut down the pool. It was before Mayor Lees was here. And the decision, that's when the rec center got involved and said, we think we can help operate this. And they came in and
And
kept
they
the
did.
pool. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
And they did turn
So-
it around. I remember those days, but it's still,
Yeah. So the evaluation of the structure indicates that, in my opinion, that it's a good risk. The evaluation of the structure indicates.
so where do we go? Okay, devil's advocate, we all agree, okay? At what point do we go, we're $1 million in to repair it now. We just spent $84,000 on conception, and this is what it's, now our bill is gonna be $1 million, $1,500,000,
Okay.
$1,600,000. Is there a number is there a caveat or somewhere in where we're gonna say, this is as far down the road we're gonna go,
And not to exceed.
and not to exceed?
So
Absolutely.
once that design work is done and once once that hard design is done and there's the estimate from the hard design, we do funding, then we do bidding.
But if it comes to us and it says, we're $1.5 million, $1.6 million to get the old baby going again, are we too far down the road, or we just continue down the road? You see what I'm saying? I don't want you to say that if we're gonna spend 800, it gets to 1.3, we at 800 didn't even get close, then we're start talking, well, we're not far now. We're
So
at
the range
full
is
range.
five, the conceptual range is from 5-something to.
800.
To 7-something, okay? I rounded it up to 800,000. So that's the conceptual. So whenever they do the conceptual, then that's always gonna be on the high side. It always is. And without having the verifiable information regarding the structure, I wouldn't be for it at all. I wouldn't be for it. So, I mean, do I trust that? I'm not an engineer, I'm not-
Neither am I.
so the only thing I could do is give an opinion of what an expert told me, which is what we're doing. So, Chris, do you have anything to add?
No, I think the numbers are there. I think we got the best people engaged and involved that we had available to us to look at this and give their professional opinions, and the people that deal with this. But we're just taking a step forward in a design, and I would compare this to a house design. We sat down with the architect and said, here's what we, kind of think we want. We want to restore the house, repair the house, and what's it gonna cost us? And he's done a walkthrough and looked at it and said, I think it's gonna cost this. But he said, I'm gonna have to go through and look at it in detail, and I'm gonna do a detailed design of the repair work. The detailed design specifies, here's the work I'm going to do, that's going to have to be done, and here's our best guess of what that's going to cost. And then at that point, we get a go, no-go decision. Do we want to move forward? Or did it come back and the cost was 2.5 million versus 500,000? And we say, you know what, that's not what we thought was, the cost was going to be. But until we get to that point, we're working off the best information that we have. And I understand, age, and I'll throw this out there. I live in a house that was built in the 50s. And somebody came to me and said, Chris, you need a new roof. And you've got water leaking, and here's some things that, the house is structurally sound, but you need to replace some things if you want to get this thing back to functioning. Your air conditioning system. And I said, well, what would it cost me? It'll cost you 20% of what it would cost me to bulldoze it and build it new. Well, I wouldn't have to think too long if it was my money. I'd say, you mean you can restore it and repair it for 20% of what it would cost to build it new? Yeah, I'd say. So it's a decision around, I understand the concern, this is an old, but there's a lot of old buildings, there's a lot of old houses in this town. And those things are still standing, and you say, well, I can't compare it. At least this pool's made of concrete. And this guy that developed this is the guy that built the water line from Spavinaw to Tulsa. He's also the guy that built Pensacola Dam, at the time the longest multiple arch concrete dam in the world. He knows his way around. I feel confident that he was a very competent person. And if you talk to talking about the structural integrity of the pool, I've been told that thing's sitting on bedrock.
So when they did the radar penetrating thing, What they did not find is they did not find big voids of concrete with rebar exposed. They didn't find any of that. They didn't find any of that. They found some vertical places that were red, but they did not find any big voids.
And I think one thing worth noting on this is that pool, for those that are familiar with this, and I'm not, but it wasn't a monolithic pour where it was just one big pour. This thing was poured in sections.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've ever seen a driveway, you see expansion joints in it. They're in there for a reason. This pool has got expansion joints. They knew that it was gonna move some. And what's happening is, in the wintertime, it sounds like, based on discussion I've had with Frank, that water is coming down, and it will, if those seams in that pool have any kind of a crack in them, that water's gonna seep in. So when they now tell us, you probably ought to keep water in the pool.
And when it freezes, then it expands.
Expands, but it was designed with expansion joints in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It-
All that's gone. There is no expansion, it's copper plates.
Yeah.
They're built over, they slide on the copper plates.
So all that
That's
gets
that's all
redone.
gone.
So it's,
So
it's
you really
really,
want to patch it, it's leaking for just a couple of years. We had it done about 10 years ago. Costa come in and redone all the joints and everything. It lasted about 2 years to leak in. So you're not going to solve that. And the deep well has dropped about 3 inches, 4 inches since I've been there. You're not going to stop that. I don't think that's natural. So no disrespect to anybody. I'm not an engineer and I'm not saying the part that scares me, and I've been there 20 years, is the concrete structure. We can fix what's broke, but every year something new. So I'm back to that thing like Bill said, we can if that's what y'all want to do, but I'm like him, what scares me is in another 2 years, it may not be 800,000 as bad, because all that's including other stuff. But I don't think we're done fixing the concrete shell.
So that probably is true. If we put a new structure out there, it is also gonna have to have maintenance to it. It's also gonna have to have
Oh, sure, that's
some kind of maintenance to it. So the recommendation on page 2, annual operating cost, you see that total number of $35,500 for a new pool. That's an estimate, and we estimate those numbers high, but we're fairly realistic. The estimated operating cost annually of a brand-new pool is $27,500. So, anytime you have concrete structure, my house was built in 1995, in the next few years, I'm gonna have to do some work on my driveway, but that's what concrete is, especially around this area. That's the recommendation and the history behind it and the reports behind it. And I would encourage Park Board to approve item 10, and then when it comes to the time, also approve item number 11. Is there any other question that I can answer?
Thank you, Mayor. I would entertain a motion to recommend proceeding with the plan for renovation of the park pool, estimated $800,000. Components are the plan, design, funding, bidding, and construction, with an estimated timeline of 12 months. I would entertain a motion to that effect.
I'll make the motion.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Just because I want to go down this rabbit hole.
What's that?
Just because I want to go down this rabbit hole and see how far it goes, I'll second it.
You seconded, okay. Any more discussion?
Yes. Is there a caveat saying this is, if it gets to a point, whenever they're doing this design, if it gets to a point way further than where they're at now, there's a stoppage where we go, timeout?
Well, you're already 84,000 in.
Yeah, I know. If it gets over 800,000 or 900, or is there a stopping point where somebody goes, wait a minute? Whenever we looked at this, this was this, and now we see this.
And at that point, how much money have we lost if we get to that?
I agree. That's why I'm asking.
And I say the answer is yes, and I would be the first one. If this thing comes in and we look at it and it goes, hey, we can't do it for that. I think the thing we haven't talked about, and Mayor, I'm gonna throw this out there. I think we have to understand in my opinion, based on information that I have that I've looked at, the city of Pryor cannot afford to build a new pool at this point. If they do it, it's going to be with millions of dollars of help from outside organizations, or it's going to take a vote of the people to fund it from.
Yeah, it would take a bond issue to do that, I'm sure.
It would take a bond issue to do it. And as of right now, and I'm really out on a limb here, I don't know that financially, we as a city can float another bond at this point. Now,
No,
the mayor's,
not yet, not till this one's paid off.
and this one, if you look at the payments on it, so we have to understand, we're working with some things here that, some unknowns. But if we voted to build a new pool, in my opinion, we can't currently fund it. We don't have $5 million,
No,
$4 million. And so that puts us in a position of, do we just do without a pool? And I looked at that, and I will tell you that Claremore, do you know where their public pool is?
It's in the park.
It's in the rec center. They don't have a public pool.
They got one out there by the fire department.
They have one going up by RSU.
Sure do. It's a
No,
small one.
that pool's gone.
Well, they made it into a splash pad or something, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they do not have a public pool. Now that's, unless there's information that I don't know, but they don't have a public pool. They use the rec center.
I think there's still a pool there.
I drove up there. I know where you're talking about, right when you go in,
Up the hill.
not on the main entrance, but on the other side where that little restaurant is, there was a pool there. It's gone. And it is a splash pad, if I remember. But I think it's something we have to be aware of, you know, the city, I don't think is financially in a position right now that it can afford to move forward on a new pool. We're talking that kind of money without some assistance from outside parties.
oh, I agree. I agree with that, yeah. I agree that to have a new pool would take a bond issue to do that. We don't have the money, and the city doesn't have the money to go out and do that tonight. Yeah, I agree with that. But I'm just wondering how much of this money we're gonna throw down that rat hole before we get around to the bond issue. That's my question.
Well,
We can't build a new pool right now. No, the city doesn't have the money. And we can't do a bond issue right now because we got a big bond issue going. But at some point in time, we're gonna have to do something. And if we just, you know, this is gonna end up being about $1 million deal before we're done. And if 5 years down the road, we do another million, waiting for the bond issue, you know, we can just keep doing this, yeah.
Well, Bill, I mean, we've all got opinions about that, but you're, you know, talking about what could happen, what might happen, and, you know, we don't know at this point. We're working with the best available information that we have. And it comes down to, do we want to provide a public pool? And if so, what options do we have? And it's my opinion, if we really want to provide a public pool to the community, we've only got one option. And that's repair this one. If we're
Well-
going down the other route, and let me say this. Now I'm getting into the preaching part of it. If we got $5 million to spend on a pool, I'd rather spend $1 million fixing this pool and take the other $4 million and put in a youth fund for people like this that are busting their butts out there trying to keep all these organizations going. Maybe that's something that we can look at to say, if we've got that kind of money available, we've got people out here donating their time and energy and dollars. And Larry and I haven't talked about it, but the mayor and I haven't talked about it. But I think it's something about even where we spend our money and how these youth organizations are having to struggle just to keep them alive. And we're gonna put $5 million in something we use for 10 weeks out of the year?
At some point in time, we will, yeah.
That's, maybe that's,
Yeah.
maybe we will.
Yeah. If we do if the city does what they need to do at some point in time, we should have a big sports complex out here that includes all the ball fields and everything else. We should have that at some point in time. We'll take a nice bond issue to do that, and that could include the pool at that point in time.
I think that's what should be
Yeah.
done in the first place.
And
That's what we gotta work towards.
That's what Clanmore's done. Well, hey, why don't we as a board, that's why we're here.
Yeah,
Why don't we get behind some of this?
well,
What if we
I've been trying to talk to people about it.
What if we decided, what if we don't?
But I think this at least,
And there's money to be made by having that.
It's not working on funding.
That could be a profitable thing, that, once it's made.
well, it would be very similar to a hotel motel, what the hotel motel tax is to these other organizations, if we had something for the youth organizations.
Until you try to get some money out of it.
Well, you have to figure out a way to, people can appeal, but anyway, that's a side issue. To me, we can, based on the best available information we have, we can fix this pool, get it back up and running, and have it available to the community. And if we want to talk about, if we've got $5 million, I'm going to bring up the issue of, do we really want to spend it on a brand-new pool? And would we get better effectiveness out of that spend by putting it into some type of a youth program, youth funds, that we could help support football and the basketball and the baseball and the softball
But
and the soccer?
Sherry, or
you've also got kids that's their whole, they don't get to do any of those other things, but look forward to going to that swimming pool and playing, with their families. They may not be involved in softball or soccer or all that, especially your families that don't have that opportunity. Sherry, go ahead. We've been sitting here talking while y'all were talking. Here's our thoughts.
Okay, this is,
Yeah.
this just, I'm just gonna throw it out there. Okay, so what if we look at maybe a 5-year plan? Let's identify a new location for the pool, maybe something for a new pool, maybe something over by the rec center or somewhere. And let's go ahead and fix what we've got so that the kids have somewhere to go. Okay, step 2. Step 3, give us 5 years to find that funding for that new pool. When we get the funding for the new pool raised, or whatever it takes to do that, then we build the new pool, we can take down the old pool and have more room at the park for other things.
It was identified that where the new pool would be was, they would have to tear down our existing one.
Right,
That's the
and
best
keep it
place to
there.
put it. That's where they want, that's where
But would-
everybody wanted it there. The rec center was no-go.
I mean, there's no place outside the rec center or somewhere else?
No, that was one of those things they were not, no, there's
And
not
it's-
enough room.
it's
So it has to be
more
in,
We have good sidewalks, we have, it's walking distance to a lot of the neighborhoods
Mm-hmm.
over by the rec center, and that seems to be where all the news coming in.
yeah, it was stated that they wanted it, the people wanted it at Whitaker Park.
See, and that's where I think the issue is.
Oh, I think so, too.
I think we've got to get a pool up and running for these kids. I'm all about that. But I also think
We have a pool.
it's a pig we're putting lipstick on, and we have got to find a way to do a new pool.
I
And I
agree.
don't see that we can do it in the same location. Because you're
I-
going to have to start funding it and getting it going before you close this one down. And I'm going to say, even if you put $1 million in it right now, you're going to have a good 5 years, and it's, I agree with you. Something's going to be wrong with it every year.
I agree. So, and you, Larry, you said something about the health department had concerns about building it back where it was, about tearing this one down and rebuilding it.
Frank, you can help me with this. Yes, the health department had some concerns about putting a new pool where we had proposed to maybe put a new pool.
Which is
And
right
simply
where it's at.
because it's in that Park Branch floodplain.
It goes back to like what Chris was mentioning earlier, the little underwater, the table in the deep well. And there's a pipe we got to cap when you take the drain caps off. And so if you don't get it capped or uncapped, when you drain the pool, the water will start shooting through the walls and the seams. And so the health department, Duffy, was one that was there and said that's not uncommon for pools. So he said, and he's one that recommends that we dig out the whole deep well and put in some kind of hydrostat pumps, what he told me.
So we could still
And
do
so-
it.
Yeah, so his thing was, he said, if you do decide to build a new pool, not that we couldn't, his just recommendation was to put it in somewhere different if we could.
I think that's your best option, guys, is we fix what we have because that's all we can afford. That way the kids don't go without, but we have to have a 5-year plan. I'm all about a new pool.
Me too.
We need a new pool. And I'm not opposed to putting it in a different location. I don't know what survey that you guys did that said it had to be back in that same location, but I almost agree. I've heard the mayor talk about a possible, what are those outdoor concert things? What am I talking about? Amphitheater or
Amphitheater.
something in that area would be so cool. There's so many things we could do right there by Whitaker Park, but I don't think we can spend $1 million on this pool and then try to have a 5-year plan for a new pool and tear that pool. I just think that's the problem. You guys are trying to put a new pool where the old pool is.
What about where the sand
Fix what
bars
we've
are?
got, get a plan, let's get a new pool in here within 5 years.
Yep,
On the other side of the tennis court.
Let's find the
Where
funding
sand
for it.
things
That
are.
gives us time.
agreed.
You talking about the volleyball?
Uh-huh. Could it be put there?
That was-
Right
that
next
was-
to a
it
pond with
came up,
ducks.
Yeah.
With what?
Right next to a pond with ducks.
No, on this side, not on that side, on the other
Oh.
side. You know, you got your tennis. I like the ducks, hush.
The
There's-
tennis
But you
is over
got your
by our
tennis, you got
shop.
your sand, and then you got the, I'm thinking right there, before the houses. Is there a big enough spot there? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there, because it's up higher. It's not sloped.
Who owns the property that's right next to the senior living over by the high school? There's a lot just east of that, I don't know whose that is.
That is owned by a trust. It's owned by a trust, and
They're trying to buy that for something.
Who is?
it's, I believe that it might be under contract.
That's what I thought. I read that somewhere, that it's being sold. But this gives us
I
a
think
chance
it might be
to
under
look.
contract, though. One thing about Whitaker Park, one thing about the pool that we have is that where it's located is the best access for most of the children in town
they can walk to it, it's close.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But the one preliminary thing from Paddock that we had is, it starts in that same corner, it goes north and south instead of east and west.
Yeah.
So it's in the same location, but
But
not
it
in the
does something
exact
different.
spot.
What's interesting is, a little bit of the history of Pryor, that all of that residential area between Park and Ninth Street is actually a planned community.
Yes, it is.
And
And
if you go
why
look at-
was it planned?
If you go
Well,
look
we're not going
at it,
into that discussion tonight.
no. When they
That's for
originally,
tomorrow night.
yeah, when they built it though, that school of Jefferson's right in the center of it. That's the reason those streets run the way they do. And that's retail on Elliott Street was the plan. But even back then, somebody had the foresight to, you know, put in a town like Pryor, a planned community. And that's, so when you talk about access, that's a pretty heavy residential area, pretty dense.
It is.
And that's what they were doing.
The
Did you know
splash
that
pad
the
is packed.
Whitaker Park pool is not the first pool that was there? You probably knew that. Yeah, so the first pool that was there was built, what, in the 30s?
So we're looking at pool number 3?
It's the first pool was down by Okie Dokie.
Oh my gosh.
I got a picture of it up in the hall, it was like 1906.
Yes.
I mean, it was way back.
I totally agree with the new pool, but
I do too.
Yeah,
I don't want them to be without a pool.
Wall, yeah.
And without a
Well,
plan,
you
we
could put a
can't do
new
that.
pool right there where the volleyball, or that sand volleyball court is.
And then one of
That's
the
what I
pools
just
ran
said.
on like sulfur water. They said it was stink, but people loved it because it heals sores up like real quick.
Where's
Ooh,
that?
the sulfur.
I don't know if it's sulfur, something like sulfur.
I bet it
Does
was.
that smell like it?
It'll smell awful.
Not sulfur, it starts with R. A chemical starts with R.
Radon.
Radiation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I like the idea that you guys were talking about down at that end of the table, that
We're gonna separate.
gives us time that we don't have, the kids don't have to go without.
But it gives us time to find the funding.
And to your point about location, my personal opinion is that there are other places, and somebody recommended to me, notwithstanding the ducks, but putting it close to the splash pad, because then you have kind of the,
Where the sand volleyball court, or sand.
That's what we first talked
The
about.
thing
Right there.
with in the park though is the
That
park's
was a little tennis
utilized
court
year
one time, I
round.
think.
You know how much area a pool would take in the park, you're taking out of the park for 2 months out of the year. Everything's used at the park, so if you put it in the park, you're gonna have to rebuild whatever you take out.
Put it over there where the pool is,
you know?
after we tear the pool down. Put the sand volleyball over there.
Volleyball and tennis.
Yeah, oh, yeah. then
The
that way
sand
you got
volleyball
all
down in
over
that
there.
bowl down there.
Ooh.
A multi-use,
Look at him,
Not that
Frank.
far, no.
Frank's like, no.
multi-use amphitheater.
That's right.
Well, the motion's been made and seconded.
Motion been made and seconded. More discussion?
But did you set a cap on it?
Huh?
You were talking about.
Can
putting a
we
cap.
set can we put a caveat not to exceed in this motion?
You can amend the motion, put a caveat not to exceed.
Then I want to amend my motion, my second. Can I do that? Or does Chris have to do that?
Chris has to amend his motion.
Can we add verbiage to it that says that we will
Not to exceed?
explore a
No.
new pool within a 5-year period?
No.
Or is there anything we can do with that?
but we can put it on the next agenda.
Yeah,
Okay.
We can do something on the next agenda.
Okay,
that gives us time to go begging.
right. And I'm like him, I can beg all day long.
Me, listen, I'm a
I'm
pro at
getting good
it.
at it.
So you're wanting to amend the motion?
Not to
what-
exceed.
Not to, what's the not to exceed you want to put in there?
Put in a not to exceed
$1 million.
$1 million.
Sure, you made it,
We're still under discussion right now. I don't want to make too many of these.
Right.
Sherry, was you thinking more?
I think,
Without further,
I think,
I-
although I really trust Mr. Paddock, if you put a not to exceed $1 million in there, is he gonna think that, perhaps he can go ahead and,
Push it to him.
Yeah.
Well,
And I have the same issue, not that I don't trust him either.
Yeah.
But I just know, I said, well, here's what they think they're gonna budget, but here's what they're really willing to spend.
I would a whole lot rather, keep him in the confines that he has created.
and it'll, the only reason why I'm saying this is just because, as Frank said, are we getting the repair at the deep end? Because when we looked at the last time, what was the cost on that, Frank? So you're
So-
$1 million before you ever get to.
No,
No.
it was
So,
100,000.
so my recommendation would be to stay with the guidelines that Mr. Paddock has created.
He's not gonna exceed 800,000 to.
Stay
get
within the
full going.
guidelines that he has created. I'm not sure it's wise to put a not to exceed in there, but I say we have the expectation there that, staying within those confines that Mr. Paddock created. We didn't create those confines.
No, he's the guy. And would it be fair, Mayor, to say that whenever this detailed design comes back with cost, that the park board would get an opportunity to weigh in on approving the design piece of this? Even though the council's gonna approve it going forward, are you gonna come back to the park board and see if the park board's gonna stack hands on whatever the cost is? That might be,
I want the park board to own it.
okay.
That's
so
what
that-
I want. I want the park board to own it.
Do you guys feel
So-
comfortable then?
So we stick our neck out together, we own it for the benefit of the citizens and do the best job we can. So during that design phase, it's not like we're not gonna be talking to him. It's not like he's not gonna be talking to us. So,
And I think that's something that we can talk about too, that we haven't, it depends on how this goes tonight, but there's typically something called a steering committee that's put together. The city doesn't use these very often, but I think it'd be a really good thing in this one to put a steering committee together with this pool of people across park board, council, mayor, Frank, that are involved in this,
Yeah.
helping to approve scope, know what the costs are, and then the board can come back and when we get a cost, if it turns out that it's higher than you guys think, get a chance to weigh in on it.
Well, I will say, this is very difficult because I'm all about a new pool, and spending $1 million on the 70-year-old pool is really hard for me. But I can't see these kids going without a pool, waiting on us to come up with $5 million. Because it's gonna take a little while to come up with $5 million.
Well-
But I think help is on the way.
I will agree with Chris that if we want the kids to have a place to swim until we come up with the 5 million, we're gonna have to do something here.
Well, Darla, I stick with my original statement. I am going to go down the rabbit hole with Chris, and we'll just see where this rabbit goes. I guess that's the best way to go.
This isn't necessarily a parade I want to be in front of. I'm just presenting information.
I understand.
But I do think, and I think you all are making points, that when you sit down, I've had these same thoughts of, it's, what we're talking about here, that, and Sherry's bringing up is, you'd like to have a new pool, but how long will that be?
Yeah.
We're gonna be in a position, if we don't do something, we're gonna be in a position where we're gonna be without a pool. And the kids are gonna be without a pool.
And they're still gonna be without a pool for the next 12 months.
Yes.
Right, that's long enough. They've already been without it for 3 years.
I guess in the interim, we need to fix this pool.
Take the
Get it
vote, Bill.
fixed and let's find some money.
Are we putting him in the?
Nope, leave it like it runs. Make your vote, Bill. Call the vote.
We're back to the same thing,
Call the vote.
ready to go.
Call the vote.
Roll call vote, please, please.
Alexander,
Yes.
Graves,
Yes.
Shelby,
Yes.
Hannah Geeser,
Come on, Bill.
Yes.
Like, I wanted to table this tonight.
Buffington.
Yes,
No,
a hard vote.
we're gonna put a 5-year plan together. We're gonna get this done.
Item number 11, discuss possibly recommend council action regarding proceeding with Paddock Enterprises, Inc. for design work on a renovation of the Whitaker Park swimming pool at an estimated cost of $84,000 and expenses of fee from general outside services account 02-201-5075.
Make a motion.
Motion's made,
Second.
and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll go for a roll call vote again.
Graves,
Yes.
Shelby,
Yes.
Hennegeeser,
Yes.
Buffington,
Yes,
Alexander.
Yes.
Item number 12, foreseeable business, unforeseeable business. We've already done foreseeable.
See the table already, Bill.
did that.
Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Me.
Motion's been made and seconded.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
That was rough.
That was painful.
That was painful.